Hello everybody, today this video will be about home screens and startup animations on consoles. The reason I will be talking about these today is because they are very valuable. A lot of times they are our first experiences with consoles. Like for example, if I got this 3DS, but I didn't have a game for it yet, then something I would first experience is turning this device on. Now, this device doesn't have a very special boot-on animation. In fact, I don't remember it having one. But, however, it is still very much part of my childhood. And just as much as this home screen is to me. Because I have used this thousands of times on this device. So, that is one of the main reasons why startup animations are important. The first ever console to have a startup animation was the Magnavox Odyssey, which is still funny if you think about it. Because putting that much time into a device that came out in 1972 to compare to Nintendo's first game console, or one of its first, the NES, that didn't have one, that came almost 14 years after that console. Think of that. Difference of 14 years. I could understand if the startup animation was just like a simple noise or something like that. Like back in the day, the idea of startup animation was like completely new. It was just static and then bam, your game was on. But come on, people, 14 years is still a hell of a long time. That's as old as my brother, and he's old enough to get a job. Think about that. I'm sorry, but Nintendo, you gotta put a little bit more work into your game consoles. Please. Some of your consoles have been amazing, but don't wait 14 years just for nothing. Just for, oh, there's some static, and then bam, game. Come on, this is like rookies. And now, let's talk about some classic introductions, some startup sounds, some amazing things that have been added throughout the history of gaming. We all know the GameCube, right? The very famous console that so many people love, including Scott the Woz and Scott the Woz. But there's something to it, I feel. I feel so many people know GameCubes for different reasons. It may be the Game Boy Player, and it's the rarity of the damn disc, I swear to God. Chibi Robo was like, oh, I'm so rare. No, Game Boy Player is better. But yeah, that's just how the world works. And the game library is pretty good. As I've already said, Chibi Robo, it had the Game Boy Player, which allowed it to have a very, 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 very large install base for games. Like, you know. The Game Boy is one of the most popular Nintendo series of all time. Yeah, of all time. But there's also Super Mario Sunshine. And I feel that those games, Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy, these games are so classical. Something about them, like Super Mario 64 feels like a Unity game nowadays. And I get a lot of people had a lot of fun with it, but just, I don't know, something about Super Mario 64 that will never come close to the magic that I feel Super Mario Sunshine and Galaxy have. Plus, they have better images. Super Mario Galaxy is way crisper, and I understand that the N64 was very long ago in a very different time period. But Super Mario Galaxy just has so much fun of it. That interstellar feeling of flying through space is just such a good feeling in general. And in Super Mario Sunshine, you have a summer theme, which also makes a lot of people happy in general. I'm not a big fan of summer, except the whole fact that everything is so sandy and so sunny. And yes, I had to make a whole transition for that because I messed up so bad. However, the GameCube was still classic. You know, the game library was amazing. Chibi Robo was one of the rarest games of all time. And also, what does the Game Boy have? mean the Game Boy didn't sell well. However, there's one thing. The controller. The Game Boy controller may not have been the first controller to have analog sticks. However, it was one of the first controllers to show off the famous one in here, one here controller idea. You know, the one that Xbox uses, that Nintendo now uses for its Pro Controller. The fact that Sony wanted to be different with their DualShock, and Sega exists with their One. But it helped shape that. And another game for it is Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Melee is one of the most popular games on the system by far. I'm not trying to bring down Super Mario Sunshine or any of the other very famous Mario Kart games. I'm trying to think of it. I don't know why. But I feel that the startup animation was one of the most important parts of its staying relevant today. Like I said earlier, the meme of Rick Astley is now imprinted and a whole new generation knows about GameCube. That doesn't happen very often. When a person from a different generation gets introduced into this world of classical gaming, which I've been introduced to in the last few months of binge watching Scott the Woz and learning more about this kind of area, the better the games feel to us now, knowing that this game has also blown the minds of people who have seen so many crazy visuals like the new Spider-Man game and so many more. It just makes our heart feel so much better knowing that generations will still remember and love this game. Because Super Mario 64 is on the fucking D. Now let's talk about home screens. While startups may be the first every time you see something coming from your console, home screens are important too, because they're the only thing you can do until you get a game. Like, until I get a new game for my 3DS, I'm not going to be able to use it because the disk drive is broken. Yeah. So the only thing I can see is the home screen. So I've started to notice some of the details on it. For example, the fact how it tries and keeps it square-like and makes the squares have so much detail in them. Like, look, have so much detail in them and tell you exactly what you need to know. Like, I can guess all of these. Camera, that's flying face. Well, that's actually flying fuck face. That is mysteryboxbuyer.com. This is me. This is a whole app made by Narcissist. This is Big Eye, Internet Eye. Oh, maybe that's Internet. We got Kirby. We got some Kirby, some Tomodachi Life. Tomodachi, I thought that thing was called. Settings. That's the one I can guess. Blank Square. Health and Safety. Boo. Music. Big Bag, because you know, capitalism. And chart. But yeah, I begin to notice that they do put a lot of it, joking aside about all these icons, they do put a lot of effort to make sure that their home screens look sharp, clean, and, you know, work. They aren't too detailed. They just allow you to get into the game and make it simplistic and allow you to do stuff that consoles should be able to do, which is awesome compared to the Xbox, which is famous for having the square design that looks pretty cool, I gotta admit. But also, there's so much going on. You try and play a game and it'll tell you news about games, which is really cool. I enjoy. I use Opera on my main computer. However, that also makes it harder to find out where the thing is to tell me where to play the game. Like, sometimes it's just a square that says play game. Sometimes it's hidden away in all the news features, all the apps. I'm sorry, Xbox, but until you get better at doing your console home screens and not making it look like you're just playing a PC, I'm not going to play your consoles. I'm also not going to play it for the 3 exclusives that come to PC, where I can actually play on a powerful console instead of having to buy your $600 worth of just PC tower that looks like something cool. Yeah, you can tell I'm a Nintendo and PlayStation nerd. And I'm honestly going to admit it, PlayStation doesn't have that good of a home screen. They mostly just show games, which is a little weird because most consoles love to show all the other stuff they can do except games. Which I kind of like about PlayStation. I mean, it does show games, and that's what I bought that console for. But then again, I might need to use some of those features on that device. So it's not very helpful to have that completely locked away in a different menu that I have to learn how to get into. But hey, at least they have that delicious, delicious cookie setting on the PSP. Am I right?